Well, the Falcons off to a 2-2 start on the season, and Michael, I think that's probably the best you could hope for, looking at who they played those first 4 games.
For sure. I mean, just to beat Liberty was enormous, and to put up a pretty good fight against Cincinnati, and obviously past weekend against Louisville, Cardinals were pretty good. So, but I think if you're BGSU, if you're a fan of BGSU, I think you gladly take 2-2 in the non-conference portion of the schedule. And, to get that second win is big because, there's going to be a couple tough ones upcoming here in the MAC to start MAC play.
Yeah, we'll get into that MAC opener in a second here. Let's talk a little about the Louisville game. Similar to Cincinnati, a slow start, a strong finish, but you can't dig yourself into a hole playing against a very good Power 4 team.
Yeah, for sure. And, BG was right there in it. They forced a turnover on special teams right away, led to a field goal, which was a great start. Down 7-3 after first quarter, but the second quarter was enormous. First 2 turnovers of the season for BG. Drew Pine with a couple not very good interceptions, to say the least. Both were in Louisville territory as well, so you're thinking at least can get field goals out of it. And both came on 1st and 10s too, which is even which maybe is a little more frustrating because they're driving and doing well. So yeah, just not the good start. And Louisville capitalized right away off the turnovers, led at halftime, and BG did a good job holding them to field goals in the second half. Louisville actually kicked 4 field goals in the second half, but the game was already well out of reach and everything. So just kind of another slow start. Offense made some plays, nothing consistent. Is kind of the story of the year is, they can make great plays. They can really, there's a lot in that playbook, but sustaining it for a full drive to find the end zone, it just hasn't really worked out.
Even with Drew Pine throwing a couple of interceptions, we saw Lucian Anderson in the game against Louisville. He had that 75-yard touchdown run. We've seen his dynamic playmaking ability in the past. It'll be interesting to see if we see more of that going forward.
Yeah, for sure. I think you absolutely have to give him chances. That was such a great touchdown run. He broke through the line of scrimmage and had just nothing but daylight in front of him. So, he's proven that he can, use his legs. He's had a few rushing touchdowns in his BGSU career. Still probably learning some things regarding the passing game and the playbook and everything, but the fact of the matter is he's pretty fast. And when he gets a full head of steam, when he gets downhill, he can be really effective. So I think, I think he had 4 rushing attempts against Louisville. I think you're going to see that more often, just kind of a change of pace, see what happens, and maybe if the opponent really sells to stop the run, knowing that he's probably going to run the ball, maybe there's someone wide open down the field to pass to. So I think they're definitely, a handful of plays here or there, they're definitely going to utilize him.
Falcons getting some bad news this week as well. Starting linebacker Dorian Pringle out for the year. He suffered an ACL injury in the win over Liberty. They played without him against Louisville, but it's going to be a big hole to fill going forward.
That is an enormous hole to fill. I mean, he was absolutely phenomenal through the first 3 games, just flying to the ball everywhere, in the backfield, interceptions, forced fumbles, fumble recoveries, you name it. I mean, it was... And, he played a lot, last year as a freshman. Didn't start, but appeared in just about every game. And you knew that he was going to take a step this year. And, he just, through 3 games, exceeded expectations. I still remember signing day a couple years ago. Former BG coach Scott Leffler said of Dorian Pringle, if he's 2 inches taller, we're not even talking to him. No one in the MAC's talking to him. He's that good. So BG's got a real superstar in him. Unfortunately, hopefully he can make a good recovery and get right back at it next year for them.
Bowling Green 2-2. They begin MAC play this week on the road, taking on the Ohio Bobcats, the reigning MAC champions. Also 2-2 on the season, but one of those 2 wins for Ohio over West Virginia. They played Rutgers, very tough. This is going to be a good battle for the Falcons.
Oh, without a doubt. And Ohio has absolutely had BG's number recently. You look a couple years ago, BG played Ohio right after Michigan game where they just got injuries after injuries. So I think BG's doing a little bit better in that regard, but Ohio is just a great program. Obviously won the MAC last year. Parker Navarro at quarterback is just a superstar. He can run the ball as effectively as he can throw the ball, and BG's faced some really good quarterbacks already this year who can run the ball, and they've, for the most part, slowed them down, but they've also passed the ball pretty effectively against BG. So Falcons really have their hands full, that's for sure. And, if they can figure something out in the passing game, get that kind of back to going like it was against Cincinnati, you never know what can happen. Obviously, BG's going to try to run the ball like they've been, but it'll be a pretty big challenge. But, why not just jump into MAC play with the defending MAC champions?
And I think that Ohio defense is maybe a little underrated. They did a great job of controlling West Virginia, did a pretty good job against Ohio State as well, particularly in the red zone. So defensively, it's a strong Bobcat attack.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, especially slowing down like in the red zone, if they hold BG to field goals and field goal attempts, that's probably not going to be enough. BG really has to find ways to get into the end zone or maybe get a special teams or a defensive touchdown as well. But yeah, this once again will be a pretty big test for the Falcons.
And the Falcons have struggled against Ohio the last couple of years, losing the last 2 meetings with the Bobcats. Michael Burwell from To The Blade, thank you so much. Of course, you can read all of his Bowling Green coverage on the Blade online and print editions. Thank you.
Thank you.